Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive.
Always excited to dig into these fascinating texts.
Today we're going to be exploring Genesis 1.913, the third day of creation.
Ah, yes, where things start to take shape.
Exactly. We're working from this excerpt, pasted text. Looks like someone's in-depth study notes.
Mm.
Really insightful stuff.
Always love a good set of notes.
Yeah.
Helps uncover the layers.
Absolutely. So, let's see what this passage reveals about God, creation, our place in it, the whole shebang. Sound good?
It sounds great. Let's dive in.
Okay, so Genesis 1.913. Let me set the scene. And God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear." And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and the gathered waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed in it, according to their various kinds." And it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good.
Powerful stuff.
Right. It's like you can almost picture it just unfolding before your eyes.
It's so evocative the way it's written.
And that repetition. And it was so, there's something about it that really emphasizes the immediacy of God's action.
Absolutely. Like, his word is enough. Boom, creation happens. No hesitation.
Right. And then that detail about the plants, seed-bearing plants and trees, according to their various kinds. It's not just, oh, there's some plants now. It's this explosion of diversity.
Yeah, it speaks to the intentionality, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not random. It's this incredibly orchestrated, diverse ecosystem.
And that leads perfectly into the first point our source brings up about God's power and authority.
Yeah, the language is so simple, so straightforward, but it conveys this sense of incredible power, this ability to shape reality with just his words.
Yeah, there's this weight behind them, even though the words themselves are so simple. But it's not just power, right? Our source makes a point about how it's also about intentionality.
Exactly. It's not just that God can create, it's that he's creating with a specific purpose. The separation of land and sea, the different kinds of plants, it all points to a plan, a design.
Like, it's deliberate. He's got this blueprint in mind.
Yes. And that blueprint includes us, by the way.
Which brings us to that third takeaway from the source about how this is all preparation for humanity.
Right. The vegetation isn't just there to look pretty. It's about providing sustenance, creating the conditions for human life to flourish.
It's like he's setting the stage, getting everything ready for the main act.
That's a great way to put it. It highlights that interconnectedness. The world is designed with us in mind.
Yeah, and in turn, we're supposed to care for it, be responsible for it. That idea of interconnectedness really comes through in the reflection section too.
Yeah.
All those phrases about beauty and wonder, intentional and purposeful.
It evokes a sense of awe, doesn't it? Like you're standing back and taking it all in, this vast, intricate creation.
Totally. It reminds you that we're not just these isolated beings on some random planet. We're part of this much bigger story.
Absolutely. And that leads us to the prayer.
Right, the prayer.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, simple, but so powerful. Full of gratitude for creation, acknowledging God as the source of it all.
It's like this humble recognition of our place within the grand scheme of things. But, I feel like we've only just scratched the surface here. There's always more to discover, to ponder.
Definitely. So let's go deeper, shall we? This imagery of separating water and land, you mentioned earlier about it being like order from chaos.
Yeah.
It really resonates with me. I mean, don't we all crave order in our lives?
It's a fundamental human need. But I think there's even more to it than that. Think about it. The separation isn't just about physical boundaries. It's also a metaphor for how we understand the world.
Ooh, I like where you're going with this.
Right. It's like establishing categories. Light and darkness, heaven and earth, good and evil. This act of dividing and defining helps us make sense of reality.
It's like building a framework for our thinking. But how does this ancient understanding of creation fit with what we know from science? Like, we know continents formed gradually, over millions of years, not in a single day. Does that create a conflict?
That's a question that's been debated for centuries. Some see it as a contradiction, but others find ways to reconcile these different perspectives.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe Genesis isn't meant to be a literal scientific textbook. Maybe it's trying to convey deeper truths about the why of creation, the purpose behind it, our role within it.
So it's like two different languages describing the same reality. One focused on the how, the other on the why.
Exactly. And both offer valuable insights. Maybe the tension between those perspectives is actually where we find the most interesting discoveries.
It's like acknowledging the limits of our understanding. that there's always more to learn, more to explore.
And more to wonder about.
And that brings it back to you listening to this. You're engaging with this ancient text, exploring these big questions about creation, purpose, your place in it all. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. If everything in creation is interconnected, if it all points to a larger design, where do you fit into that picture? What's your unique role in this vast, intricate web of existence? Something to think about as you go about your day.